Great to have everybody here for our next edition of AI Marketers Guild APAC. So I'm here along with my colleagues Staksh and Anady, and we're really excited to introduce our next speaker. But before I do that, I'll just give those new to the community a bit of background. So I'm Nicola Quayle, based in Sydney, and with Staksh and Anady, we co-founded the Asia Pacific AI Marketers Guild, which was originally started by US marketer David Berkowitz about 3 years ago now, and it's grown into be a significant community in North America. And what we wanted to do is partner to provide a more regional lens that showcases local pioneers in AI tools and applications, marketing best practice, and world-class AI thought leaders. So we're hosting monthly webinars and really excited to have everyone leaning in. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's guest, who spent over 2 decades building at the intersection of technology, community, and entrepreneurship. So from co-founding a retail solutions firm at 21, which is hard to believe, to then scaling one of India's largest biking communities, to launching a big data company, and now leading product and technology at KOGO Tech Labs. Praveer, I don't know when you have time to sleep, but Praveer Kochhar is the co-founder and CPO of KOGO, and him and his team are building what they describe as a sovereign AI platform, which I'm really excited to hear more about. But it's all about enabling enterprises to deploy self-teaching agents, and we've heard a lot about agentic recently across marketing, finance, HR, all around with governance and control baked in. So what started as India's only AI travel expert app has certainly evolved into something much bigger. So today we're exploring what that actually means in practice for businesses, teams, and of course the future of work. So Praveer, welcome. I'm going to hand over to you. Really excited.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you so much, everybody. Daksh, Helen, having me here. Look forward to having an interesting conversation. By the way, I have enough time to sleep. I don't really work as hard as people think I do. And of course, a lot of agents that I work with are making life much easier for me. And I hope I have a goal of building a 4-day work week for everybody. I think we can do that very, very soon. Hello, everybody. So can I just start and get going? Super. Great. So, hi everyone. I am, my name, Praveer Kochhar. I'm going to split today's discussion into 2 separate segments, right? And I've been working on it for the last couple of weeks because this is not the first drill that I'm doing. I've realized that when it comes with AI, it's kind of like a pendulum. It's shifting left and right every day. One morning it's good, the other morning it's bad. But the reality on the ground is very different. All of us use it in one way or another. All of us depend on it. Try switching off your ChatGPT plot for a day, getting your work done, or writing that 5-page proposal, and then tell me that AI is not worth it. I think that's really the value that is bringing. It's obviously crunching something. It's building some kind of benefit, right? What that benefit is and how to kind of extend that benefit is something that we want to talk about today. The topic is very big. Autonomous work, scary. Work can be autonomous. Can it not be autonomous? And this is the question I've been trying to answer as I build with my team, KOGO AI and KOGO Workspace. So I'm going to start a framework that I have developed, and this is the framework that I use to talk to a lot of C-suite customers, CIOs, CXOs, CEOs on really what is the value of agentic systems. And this is a framework that I'm actively working on developing, expanding, and over the last couple of weeks, it's helped me. Discussions like these help me push in that direction, where I'm able to also develop this framework further because I have to come and present it to you guys. What is the agentic loop, right? And why is it important? The biggest importance here, what I see is the whole idea of KOGO was built around a manifesto that we created, which said human potential meets AI, where the whole concept is that we want to expand human potential with agentic superpowers or with agents or with AI, rather than the other way around. And that's exactly what the agentic loop focuses on. It's not about removing the human from the loop. It's about putting AI to work on everything around the decision, right? And what that decision is what the agentic loop is all about. So I in fact built this as a presentation on my agent. I don't really now use any presentation software. I just build HTML presentations so that I can share them easily. I don't have to focus on aligning text and all that. So great. So what is the agentic loop? It's a new operating model for how work gets done, potentially leading to autonomy at work. But that depends on us. And I think we take ourselves out of equation when we talk about autonomous work, where I don't think that's possible. Uh, let's start talking about decisions first. What was the framework available for us to make decisions pre-generative AI? And then let's go back a few decades. You know, uh, a Nobel laureate Herbert Simon came up with the concept of intelligence, design, and choice, and he came about with a term called satisfice. Uh, and it's not a typo. Satisfice basically means the first available option to take a decision rather than the maximized version where you take the best possible option to take a decision. So essentially, you had intelligence, you were able to design, and you were able to take a choice. And of course, all of us have heard about the OODA loop. A lot of armed forces really depend on this to take decisions, which is essentially an observe, orient, decide, and act, where orientation comes in the focus. Right? How you orient to the environment is more important than the actual data itself. Then came pattern recognition. This is around the same time AI kind of started coming up, where you were recognizing prime decisions through pattern recognition. And then, of course, there were the DIKW pyramid. There are many other frameworks. But the truth is one. The truth is that the domain expert, the person taking the decision, was the only processor when it came to taking these decisions. How that changed uh, is very, very important. So this is the decision loop. So you collect data, you analyze it, you take insights, you take decisions, and you take action. You come back and into a feedback loop, and we do it all over again. The loop takes weeks. There are multiple iterations. You hand it off to different people. So at every stage there are handoffs, because you're really not doing this entire pipeline yourself. You have other people in the loop. You do meetings, you do collaborations, and by the time you act, the data is stale. The world has moved with 3-second attention gaps, attention span that people have today on social media. uh, the things are moving, the content and the trends are moving much faster than we can take pace with. And at this time, I think AI is of great benefit. uh, the domain expert was the center of the world. Now, you could scale the data, you could scale the reporting, but you could not scale the interpretation and judgment. And this is where the decision loop was much larger, much bigger. Right? You could do pattern recognition, noise filtering, pragmatic choices, narrative building. A lot of these things we were doing, but we were not able to scale interpretation and judgment. Now, this is where the new way of doing things, the future of how we are going to operate. And a lot of us are already operating like that, where there is an agent that handles data collection. When was the last time anybody here went on Google and searched for the news? You know, uh, when are you now using web search and browsing through websites to look for information? You're actually asking your agents. Web search was the first big agentic system applied and adopted at large scale. So data collection, analysis, and option generation already being handled by agents. Execution is something where agents are now emerging to use. But what is that the one thing only you can do, which is decisions? And I think that's very important. The human stays at the decision point, and the decision point is the centrifugal force that moves everything around it. And that's what the agentic loop is about. How do we make decisions not only faster, but we take more decisions per person in a day, right? So what we are compressing is this decision-making timeline. And that's what the agentic loop is all about. The partnership model between human and agent. And this is really where the augmentation needs to happen in the way we do day to day. We're already doing this, by the way. I'm just putting it on a sheet so that we can see what it means. What part of it are we missing? What we are really good at, and that's not going to get replaced anytime soon. I've used all possible models, all possible agents. The judgment, values, and wisdom that we have, that we gather and accumulate, is very important. It's going to become more and more important as we deal with more agents. As like we learn from our co-workers in a team. Imagine agentic co-workers who work with us. We're going to learn from them, and our judgment, values, and wisdom is going to only exponentially increase. Meanwhile, the agent is adding the speed, scale, and consistency to what we are doing. The agent is today providing the bandwidth, the fiber optic cable to data and decisions, and you are providing the direction. And that's how I personally feel the future of work is going to orient itself. The human's going to provide the direction, take the judgment, take the decision, build the guardrails. you know you need to have three things in place if you want agentic systems to scale, and these are things that we have to enforce. We can't expect the system to enforce it for us. The first one is bounded autonomy. The agent works inside the lines you have drawn. Decision explainability, where the agent or the skill or whatever you build has to have explainable decisions. Now this is our responsibility. That is how we will build trust between this partnership model. And then of course, override by design. I should be able to undo, redo, or stop something that has been initiated. I'll give you an example. I built a sales development agent that generates personalized emails. I don't get the agent to send it off to anybody. I ask the agent to put it in drafts in my email. I read everything before it goes out. Yes, of course, I can automate 100,000 emails that can go out, but what's the response rate on that? So I personalize everything myself. I take that judgment because based on my wisdom, that little bit of sprinkle that I add to that email personally is far more important than the mass scale personalization that the agent has done. So the agent still providing me the bandwidth, but I provide the direction. I decide where I step in. The human is not demoted. I don't agree with with the fact that our roles are going to get limited. I think we are promoted in terms of our power. I have a 35 people technology team that works with me. I see them today building code and writing code. They're not just writing logic in a language. They're actually architecting a pipeline. They're almost like conductors of code. They know exactly what to write. They do precise laser sharp changes in code, and they govern what goes out. So their role has shifted. The structure of the organization is going to shift if people's role within the organization shifts. And the structure of the organization, I feel, going to become smaller, far more efficient. So a team of three people is going to build companies that are very large, provide extremely personalized, very deep service to a lot of companies, because the marketing expertise and the wisdom that they've gained is going to be far more important in the marketplace. And there's always going to be demand for the right decisions that people take, the good decisions that people take. The agents are not going to take these decisions, not anytime soon. So there are, of course, as you take these decisions, there is 4 dimensions that open up for compression of this loop, and the loop becoming smaller. The agent pulls the live data, handles your search, filter, and synthesis, does an end-to-end zero queue kind of handoff, and reduces the time from hours or days to minutes. And it's not about taking one decision 1,000 times faster. It's about taking 40 decisions in the time that you made one, and taking the right decisions. So that's really where the compression of the loop happens. Obviously, the latest agents, the one that I'm using to build this, are very advanced. They improve over time because the context stays in one place. And I will show you how that works. This is not a theoretical demo. This is going to be a practical demo where I'll actually show you where this is going. Right? Autonomy. Okay. I just want to spend a little time on this slide because that's the topic that we've been discussing, and the topic of why all of you have joined here today. Autonomy is not an all or nothing spectrum. It's a spectrum, right? You choose from level 0 to level 4. You want a supervised autonomy, you can assign it to certain tasks that you are doing. You want a human on the loop, or you want a human in the loop, right? Or you want to do it manually. It's actually a combination of all of this for a single task that you're going to do. Like, for example, if your budget is shifting 5%, you can have a threshold within the agent in your skill set or in your instructions to take a decision automatically. It shifts to 20%, you can tell the agent to ask you, and it will, because it has memory and it's storing all that information. You want to do a creative refresh, you can do auto generate, or you can put yourself in the loop where every word matters. It's the rules that you are going to define as you build with these agents. The agentic loop, to summarize, the world that was where decisions were limited to one person, the agentic loop where you're compressing the insight to action loop across multiple dimensions of gathering, analyzing all that data, whilst your role as a human operating this technology changes to be an architect, conductor, and a governor. And every loop makes the next one faster, smaller, more efficient. And that efficiency is something that these systems are going to be built on. No, and autonomy, of course, it's a spectrum, and you control that spectrum. So this is more or less the framework that I've been working on. Of course, after this workshop, I would love to get feedback from all of you. If in case you think there's anywhere I can improve, things that I want to add, questions that I've not answered. Uh, Now, how does the agentic loop apply to marketing? Because that's what all of you are an expert in. I am not. That's why I took a help from one of our partner companies. They've built uh, an entire marketing operating system on top of KOGO OS. So within KOGO Workspace, if today you were to sign up on KOGO.ai and you land up, you'll see a marketplace where you'll see 367 agency, a couple of agents built by them are already there. These are specialized agents working as a single end-to-end marketing operating system, and they're adding more as they're building with us. Because we want real experts to build real value for people and not generic, people building skills or these agents. And I'll show you what that agent can do. But before that, let me tell you how it works. The first rule that they've put together is the governance. If it's not clear, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Uh, it's a human-led strategy that governs the entire loop for that agent. And this is the loop on which, the principle on which they built it. The foundation is a brand OS and data. Either you give the agent data about the brand, or the agent can actually go online and find that data for itself. It has access to pretty much every search tool that is out there. It has its own capabilities, which means it can connect to data. It has its integrations. It has a 17 skills track. So there are 17 skills pre-built into the agent, from intel creation, commerce, brand positioning, product positioning, all of that it does by itself. It validates, there is a quality gate built in, and it also connects to external databases. The strategy flows clockwise and the data flows counterclockwise, right? So as the human-led strategy rolls down from point 1 to point 6, the data goes back and gives a feedback loop to the entire agent. The purpose of building this was to build a marketing agency and build it as a system, and not disjointed islands that connect 3 times a week on meetings to tally notes on what's really going on in terms of a brand strategy. Obviously, because the core agent on which this is built, which was built by KOGO, has memory and institutional knowledge. It gets smarter with every campaign. It learns, it remembers, it has detailed information about all the data that it's being handled. It's one system, but still human governed. It has 17 tracks, but one foundation, right? It validates every output, learns from every campaign. It reads the brand operating system before every action. But what stays human is your strategy, brand, budget, the call to ship it to a customer, the final judgment, taste, and approval. So 17 tracks have one single foundation. Every output is governed by a person who actually runs the system. Uh, Now, using this specific agent, I want to get into the first demo. So we have another partner that we work with. They're a marketing strategy company. They're part of the LS Group in India. The company is called Langur. They are a marketing strategy and a brand consulting, and they do media. They do all sorts of things, and the entire spectrum of marketing. The brief that they got from one of their customers, and this is confidential, so I just hope that it remains with this group. Now, the brief was very simple. They have hundreds of dealers. Hyundai car company in India has hundreds of dealers. They're running ads across regions. The challenge is scale across dealerships, markets, formats, messaging. You know how many languages are there in India, how many cultural contexts are there in India. It is a complex market for a brand to operate. Now, the challenge was we could give this to an agency, let them work on it, take 3 weeks, understand the data, do their back and forth, and come back. Or we feed this to the 367 marketing agency agent that starts by first gathering brand intelligence. Based on the brand intelligence, going and gathering product intelligence, then doing a consumer intelligence, building a creative framework, localization, writes the copy, and gives you a final ad output in 2 hours. And because 2 hours, because the agent really takes long to go out and do deep research and do all of that. So this is the first demo that I'm going to show you. I'll start from the final output and I'll show you how the agent went about doing all of this. The second one that I'm going to talk about is about a brand called Dove, which is a Unilever brand. And here the whole concept was, how do you build multi-market social intelligence engine, an engine that gathers current trends in skincare in the specific domain the brand operates in, integrates with multiple data platforms that are actually generating real-time data of these trends across TikTok, Instagram, Quilt, Meltwater, Reddit, and actually builds a dashboard that is real time that can tell a brand what really is going on. And that intelligence is then turned into a brand brief. The brand brief goes to the agency to build the creatives. So the idea was, how do you gather intelligence at scale, put it in a dashboard, refresh it week on week, generate creative briefs based on the brand DNA, and then hand it over to an agency to develop uh, campaigns that stick, that are relevant, that are contextual, right? So this is what we did in the second case study that I'm going to show you. Now, just to kind of show you how this is happening, which will also introduce you to how these agents work. I'm actually inside KOGO Workspace. I'm using one of the agents called Notesy. I created Notesy because I wanted a chief of staff. It is available to everybody who signs up on KOGO, along with many other agents that are available. Notesy is kind of like your note taker, remembers everything, can build some interesting interfaces. I just built and mounted this on Notesy. So I can mount different websites, microsites that I want to build. And uh, all agents that you see have something in common on the KOGO workspace. And one of the most important things is every agent is actually working inside a virtual machine, which means it's working inside its own computer. It has its own files that it can read. Whatever files it generates, the memory it learns. So Notesy already got everything slotted for me. What research I do, the learnings I had, the observations I had. I don't ever need to open these files. I just need to talk to Notesy and it will tell me everything that I can do. Right. So I can also share this with people that I share Notesy with. So Workspace was built for collaboration. Right. So I can share folders. I have my own files that I want to give this agent on boot up so that it remembers and learns everything, doesn't wake up with a hangover or amnesia every day. It has its own skills. So it has multiple skills that are preloaded. So you don't have to. You can build your own skills because all agents have the ability to create skills. And then, of course, it can build artifacts. And this is where I built the marketing, the agentic loop demo. I'm building multiple things here. So this is basically the premise of how the platform works. You can have multiple workspaces with multiple different agents. There is an agent marketplace, and you can see different agents that are built by us or our partners. And this is the agent that I'm going to talk about. This is the agent that I'm going to talk about today more in detail as I give you the demo. This is built by 367 Marketing Agency. It's a full stack performance marketing agent. It already has a lot of the tools that you need to connect to your data. It has 17 skills, 17 tracks that we were talking about. So, and it walks you through starting from brand strategy to down to everything that you need to run an entire brand, can handle multiple brands. All you need to do is add it to workspace, and you can actually start using this and trying it out. Now let's jump into the showing you what we were able to do with this. So I've just taken permission to use their account, and this is so the multiple versions of the Marketing Pro agent that are running here. This is the agent that we use for SwimDay, right? So as you can see, these are all folders that the agent creates based on the skill that it has. This agent already comes preloaded with all of these skills, and these skills are designed by one of the founders of 367 agency, from a performance ad analyzer to Google search term analysis to brand. And you guys can understand this much better than I can, but broadly it covers everything that an agency needs to run, evaluate, build from scratch. Now obviously we didn't have any inside information from Hyundai for this brief, so we just told the agent to get started and start learning about the brand understanding. And because this agent already has a skill to go and do online research, it was able to build a brand understanding document. And this is what it built. With a single query, it used the brand understanding skill, and this is the report that it generated. It got the brand personality, the name, the legal entities, the mission and core belief, the founders and leadership, the current leadership, the origin story, the funding history, revenue, target audience, core emotional insight, psychographic profile, product portfolio, including all the variants. This is specific to India. So the pricing is specific to India. All your sub-brand tiers, your pricing architecture, and your brand pillars. Now, because it's using a skill that is designed by an expert, the output that you see with a single query is extremely, extremely detailed. So it got all the pillars, and this can do this for any brand. You just give it a URL and does this for any brand. The tone of voice, the language, the tone spectrum. Adi, who's built this, told me specifically to show you this because this is very important as a brand strategy output when you start converting this into actual creatives. So your key differentiators, vulnerabilities, it also identifies your distribution channel, your customer voice, and social proof, right? So it also found what is the app ratings for their app, which is there on the store, right? Direct quotes from management context. So it goes on and on. And of course, it also identifies the gaps that it was not able to find. Now, these are important things. If you want the agent to go deeper, it can actually go in and focus on these areas and also fill in these gaps. Once it got the brand understanding, it went and got product understanding on each one of their products. And each one is equally detailed. So the Ionic 5 product understanding document has the brand overview, which is it's taken from the brand operating system document that it built. The product identity with the spec sheet, the product positioning, the replacement upgrade claim, the competitive set differentiation, the proprietary core technologies, right? The complete features and benefit matrix. So it's got everything, every feature and what's the consumer benefit for that specific feature. Functions and modes of usage, packaging and labeling, what comes with the car, what's the unboxing like, what are the key selling points, warranty support, post-purchase experience, pretty much everything that you need to know, right, for this brand. So we said, okay, let's take Ionic as a brand and let's go into consumer intelligence. Now, for Ionic, it went to forums, reviews across. There's a website called Team BHP where a lot of consumer user speak is there. It actually created a push-pull map, a strategy pack, a language bank, a competitive map, a buyer archetype, and a category landscape for Ionic. So let me just quickly see if I can run you through this. So this is your push-pull map, right? What buyers are running away from, what pushed them over, how they felt, the creative angle, right? And it did this across different product level confidence assessments. It also got a strategy pack. This essentially details a brand strategy and a product strategy brief. So it builds a category truth, a competitive read, landscape, recommended positioning and territory, creative strategy territories, all of this. So it builds multiple territories where the product might have a play. This is all based on actual user inputs, which it has gathered. And then it gives you some seeds for social content. So it already start building some kind of seeds for social content creation. As it does this, this is again one thing that Adi told me for sure to show everybody. It builds very clear buyer archetypes. Now, these are steps which are very important when you come to creating a brief or generating a nano banana creative. Because if all of this is not in place, right? We talked about the entire decision loop. If all of this is not in place, the final output's going to go through many iterations. So your silent evangelist, the range anxious realist, the burnt early adopter, the value skeptic, the practical family driver, and the tech forward charger. Now, because this is an EV, I mean, as a layman, this makes sense to me. So it then goes deeper into every archetype. It defines their core anxiety, what is the decision filter, what proof they need. Based on this, it builds a creative strategy. The creative strategy has the brand context, the consumer cohorts, the competitive white space, tone of voice architectures, funnel messaging, proof architecture, creative production matrix, diversity and QA scorecard. So how do you evaluate what you're building? Retention and nurturing pipeline for 3 months. So all of this is a part of your consumer strategy, right? Or your creative strategy. Based on the creative strategy, it generates ad copies. These are the ad copies that it ended up generating. So you have your one for your range anxious realist. So different types of ads. But because the brief here was to generate ad copy for different dealers in different regions, it's also identified and customized it to markets. So for Mumbai, there is a different narrative versus Delhi NCR. There is a different narrative for Bangalore, right? So the copy changes, the content changes, the context changes, the cultural context also changes. So it's conscious of the original brief that was given to it. Then this is the final show and tell. So this is along with the banner copy, it also generates a visual direction for what needs to be fed into a vision model, which is the next step. Now you don't have to go anywhere, copy this from here and then take it to Higgsfield or somewhere else. Nano Banana and GPT image generation are integrated right within the 367 agency agent. So this agent is capable enough to generate images as well. So you don't really need to do context switching from here to anywhere else. Now let's have a look at this. Now this is where I really felt that the direction started getting far more focused, far more interesting. The Worli Sea Link is in Mumbai. So this is a contextual creative generated for Mumbai as a city or dealers in Mumbai. again, specific to Mumbai to Pune. And of course, because there is range anxiety, the CTA that the agent decided to put was owner reports. So you can actually see what people are like, what real owners are saying about the product. So before a CTA of actually book a test drive, because it's range anxiety, the CTA is different. So these are, and this is just 2 hours of work that I'm showing you. This is the idea of this was to show end to end what an AI was able to do with human governance without a feedback loop in place. Of course, it's gone through multiple revisions. The final creatives I cannot show here, but this is what we were able to generate in all of this, and not for one brand. This is now happening across for multiple brands. So if you see here, there are just multiple brands that are going through the same journey of refinement and reducing that marketing loop. Let me now switch to Langur. Langur did a different strategy. Uh, they took one of the agents that we have. We call it Agent Zero. Agent Zero is kind of like a do-all general purpose agent that we've built for anybody. It has all your basic things that it can do: learning, memory, basic skills to manage your files, kind of like a college graduate. But when you add Agent Zero, you can actually teach it new skills. You can add more context and memory to it. You can turn it into anything, PhD level scholar on your specific subject matter. So what they did was they took Agent Zero and they turned it into a social intelligence engine. So this is what they ended up building with it. And of course they built many strategy dashboards using it. But I'm going to show you one specific dashboard. The brief was simple: context and content is changing across platforms. How do we identify a trend before it becomes really big? And how do we track trends on social media? How do we track the conversation on a single dashboard? Turn that into an opportunity or a warning or a threat. Gather insights based on a strategic framework on brand DNA. Right? How do we detect those signals? How do we categorize them? So this is kind of like the insight that this is a real-time signal architecture for brand teams to move from raw social noise to crisp, actionable brand decisions. And this had to be built from scratch with an agent. So we gave the agent a few capabilities to use some scrapers, to integrate it with some external platforms, and said, now go ahead, do your deep research, come back, reanalyze it with the agent, build this into a dashboard. Right? This took about 8 hours of putting all of this together. It actually tracks category trend signals, brand and competitor signals, cultural and macro signals, influencer and creator signals. Its source architecture is social platforms, share chats, Reddit, Google Trends, beauty lifestyle blogs and news. It generates real-time alerts. It gives a weekly digest, a brand intelligence brief, kind of like what Trump gets from his intelligence teams. Monthly report, competitor activity radar, ongoing monitoring, and then gives specific brand specific signals and priorities of what to focus on. If you want to go deeper, you can actually go into trends and track specific trends with volumes. Which one is growing? So a self-care Sunday, a skin barrier repair, everything showers. These are real trends that are actually coming in from these data sources. So what you need to act now on, what you need to prepare for, and what you need to monitor as trends is automatically getting updated. What brand signals are being thrown at, right? So what is your platform distribution for different trends? What is the sentiment distribution across platforms? This is coming from a different platform and different data that is provided to us. What are the top hashtags, product mentions? So everything that we had available and what we didn't have available, we dumped it to the agent. The agent was able to analyze based on what we wanted. We defined, we architected the output, and it was able to build an actual system that tracks all of this and gathers all this information in real time. So all your cultural macro trends, micro trends, what are your seasonal moments? Now this then goes into a different agent that has the brand DNA. You give a brief that this agent generates saying, this is the creative brief. Again, goes back to the creative brand strategy agent that already has your brand OS and your brand DNA. And that agent will generate the meta copy or creatives or whatever. So the reason I wanted to show this was from actually monitoring what is happening out there in the world to eventually ending up creating effective creatives, the entire pipeline, the entire loop has shrunk. And that's what I started out with, saying the agentic loop is shrinking. Uh, as of right now, we are the limitation because we are not able to zoom out and see beyond the task level that a lot of people use AI for today. They're essentially prompting and giving tasks to AI, hoping that it remembers what we did. What we're missing out really is the uh, compounding value of AI systems that store my data, that have all the memory of everything that I had done, everything that I have worked on, in one place. So I'm not pulling files and pushing files from one agent window to another agent window, from one tool to another tool. I'm actually doing everything in one working ecosystem where everything learns and compounds, making my life easier. And that essentially is how the loop gets shorter, the loop gets more efficient. We'll have more time to go out and travel and do the things that we love doing. And we'll also love doing the work that we are doing because we're doing the exciting part of work. We're actually doing the decision making part of work, and not really the laborious staring at Excel sheets and adjusting columns part of work. Nobody I know likes doing that. So that's really the paradigm I wanted to leave everybody with. I'm going to now figure out how do I switch off my screen sharing, and I hope I'm on time and we have enough time to now do questions.
That was amazing. I could see Nick and Helen smiling while you were sort of, doing this session.
I'm signing up.
I hope there was not a lot of content compressed in this time. Pardon me for that. And I'm trying to share as much as I can. Uh, happy to take questions from anybody.
So I think Praveer, I will start off with a question that I had asked you earlier. So for those of you who don't know, one of the pitch that KOGO has, I don't know why my camera is flipped. Apologies for that. I think camera is also getting used to the session, the power of the session, the energy of the session. But one of the things that Praveer you have talked about is you're directly sort of taking head on with Claude. And the thing that you mentioned, which I do remember last time, was you can do everything that Claude can do at a fraction of a cost, right? So I believe you can hear me, right? Am I audible? Yeah.
Of course.
So I believe everybody today hopefully are going to get some credits to sign up and play around. I mentioned that people sort of go ahead and create their agents. But do you want to talk about this whole strategy that you're having when it comes to competing with Claude? Because a lot of people in the room also might have said that, okay, this is great, but I have been doing this a little bit on and off with some of the LLMs. So what is your
Okay, so I give you an example. About a decade or more back, Bose, the company that makes speakers, used to have a demo room, and they'd put you in that demo room, and they'll show you this 2-minute film with great sound effects and everything, and then they'll switch on the lights, and you'll see this speaker, this big, and then they'll remove the speaker, and inside this was the small Bose speaker, which was really really small, creating this great impact. Everything that I showed you that we built is built on open source models. There is no Claude, no GPT, no API except for image generation. Of course, we are moving out to open source models for image generation as well. We do not use closed source models on KOGO AI. We are a proprietary sovereign platform. We've managed to build that capability despite having the flagship state of the art models. As far as it comes to cost, it's 30x cheaper. There are no limits you will hit on sessions.
Right.
And we are working very hard to make sure that we're able to offer unlimited tokens, which never run out. And that's really the holy grail of AI, because you don't want to keep recharging your wallet every time you run out of tokens and upgrading plans. This is not a ladder for upselling technology to you. AI is going to be private, sovereign, and open source, and we believe in that. Everybody gets a $40 plan the moment they sign up.
Amazing, amazing. So the other thing, I love both the examples, and I think the ad creators were on point. I believe Nick would have particularly liked the second example because she is deep into market research, and so is Helen. How complex is it? You talked about probably building that pipeline in 6 or 8 hours for those of people who are actually in the call. If they have to build a dashboard like that on their own, how much time is it going to take? For them to sort of do?
Maybe a couple of days maximum. But there is one critical thing that we must understand. We are so programmed to do prompt engineering that we think our instructions are the holy grail of what the agent is going to do. Let's shift that focus and put a little more trust on the model, and let the model first propose the options. Please go through the roles, the partnership roles that I defined. I took a lot of time in defining those roles. The agent's role is to guide you with options and provide you with all possible knowledge, because it has that knowledge, but we don't use it. We don't use it in an effective manner. So if I want to build a dashboard, I'll first tell the agent, hey, go do some research and find out what are the best dashboards that exist, and then give me options. So I won't tell it what I know, because my knowledge is limited. My role is decision making, and I must have many choices to make decisions from, and that's how I will make better decisions. If you make this one small change, whether you're using Plot GPT or on KOGO, doesn't matter, but make this small change in your approach, and you'll see great output coming out much faster.
Great, great. I think I can go afterward questions. I have one more question, Nick. Sorry. I just love the sentiments actually that were there in the Dove dashboard, and how it was very expressive in terms of how the market share is under threat. And I think these are some awesome insights. I just wanted to know how accurate is that? That's based on all the public sentiments that have been captured. Is it based on what you are actually feeding to the agent, and how does that work?
So it was the dashboard was based on three separate sources. About 30% of it was public sentiment scraped from the internet, from Reddit, etc. The rest 70% was from proprietary tools. There is a company called Quilt.ai that does social sentiment analysis. We use their API to get that data. Meltwater data, which is real consumer sentiment, was provided by the customer. I couldn't show that because it's proprietary, but 70% of that data was actual consumer speak collected from tools that are filtering this. Now, that's a great point, because the quality of data will define the quality of output. So we must spend more time in building those pipelines to connect the data accurately. It's not that the data is not available. I mean, we have an Apify agent. The Apify agent can go and scrape a lot of things. You can validate that data. You can refine it. You do have to spend time cleaning up the pipelines. It's like plumbing. You do it well, the water flows great. You switch on the tap, everything works. So a little bit of plumbing has to be, and that's by experience. But the good thing is, if you make a mistake, ask the agent to record it and remember it, and it'll not make that mistake, or it'll remind you next time you're doing the same thing.
No, super interesting. And while you were presenting, I jumped on. So, we do a lot of webinars. I've gone to a lot of conferences, and there is a thing around, data overload, or, you go into an app store and it's like, oh, I can have this and this and this and this. And suddenly you've got everything, and it's kind of analysis paralysis. So what would you recommend for people getting started, to ensure that they don't, what's happening at the moment, I'm sure you've experienced, is everyone's diving in and then freaking out and just stopping. So how do we stop the freak out?
I would not stop the freak out, because chaos leads to clarity, and not the other way around. And unless you go through the chaos loop, you really don't know what clarity means. Silence is only appreciated in a noisy environment. So I think that realization everyone should have, and only then things get better. So I would say use everything that's out there, but please be conscious of the compounding effect of AI. Are you compounding? Are you making the loop smaller? Are you making the loop more efficient on a day to day? Jensen Huang said something very interesting, and that's his philosophy. I like that you move the needle a little bit every day. You don't need to move it a lot, but if you move it every day a little bit, there is a compounding effect that happens. So is what you are doing with multiple systems that you are working with adding real value and reducing that agentic loop or not? I think if that's the parameter with which you analyze your AI strategy as personally or in your company, I think it'll give dividends.
So there's been a lot of discussion recently, certainly here, around data sovereignty and national data sovereignty. And as you mentioned, the tokens are going up, and suddenly Anthropic and OpenAI are like, yes, we have you. So
No.
what's your goal, or what's your vision for KOGO when it comes to AI sovereignty?
Our vision from KOGO from day one was to make it private. We feel AI should be private, and AI is going to be private. All things point in that direction. If you see the latest open source Chinese models, kudos to all the teams that are working there. They're really focusing on the efficiency part of the model. The latest DeepSeek model, if I can talk a little bit of technology, little tech, focused on caching. They want to be able to stop regenerating tokens. So they enhanced and did a big breakthrough in caching. So 99% or between 95 to 99% of tokens that you actually generate are cache tokens. Questions you've already asked the agent before that are a part of your chat. They don't need to be regenerated by the model. And that's what's costing high GPU consumption. If 95% of my tokens are cache tokens, DeepSeek cracked it, and they're now able to hit 88% cache hit, which means those tokens are never regenerated, which means only 5% tokens are generated. That's why you're paying so less for those modules. So AI is going to get cheaper, it's going to get commoditized, going to get private. Open source will eventually win. And we are kind of like the flag bearers of going and saying, let's show the world that we can do the same capability with open source models. Even at 92% benchmarking versus a Claude 4.7, we are able to do all the tasks that Claude can do. And we're building those pipelines to make it better. So we're in it for the long run. And I think privacy is very important, especially with AI. I personally feel I'm very glad that I canceled all my subscriptions. My data sits on my servers. I control all the conversations I'm having with my AI, and I think that's a big freedom in today's world.
Yeah, and as you said, your servers in your country, yeah, and I think that's
Yes.
what we've been talking about is kind of rented intelligence. So yes, we're outsourcing it all to the big models.
It's not rented intelligence. It's an intelligence trade-off. You're actually feeding the agents your intelligence in response for subsidized tokens.
That's great. Awesome. Yay. Well, thank you. This has been amazing. I could definitely, I think it's super interesting what you've built in terms of enabling users. As I said, sometimes people don't know what they don't know. So they don't know how to build the right prompt or get the best use out of an agent. And so, as I said, there's frustration and then people kind of stop. Whereas you've been able to really build a pathway for people, which is really exciting. So
very simple trick I'll give everybody. When you sign in, use your free account, add agent 0 as the first agent that you add. Tell it to go online, do some research on best prompt generation techniques, and make a skill for you to generate prompts. You'll never have to write a prompt ever in your life again.
Oh, I love that. Great. Fantastic. Well, Dax, I'll let you close out, but thank you so much, Praveer. That's been amazing.
Thank you for having me, everybody. Thank you for having the patience to listen to me.
No, I think it's always wonderful to catch up with Praveer in person, whether it's online or offline. So I think all the sessions are wonderful. And there's always a lot of inputs beyond just the AI part. And I think he's
Some disagreements also.
he's very spiritual, philosophical.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take chaos
you so
leads to
much.
clarity. I love.
Thank you so much.